There comes a moment in life when you realize that waiting is no longer an option. Bills are due, responsibilities are calling, and the idea of eventually improving your finances begins to feel painfully distant. You do not need advice for 10 years from now. You need income now. I found myself in that exact position not long ago. I was not looking for luxury. I was not chasing status. I simply needed to create money quickly and honestly without compromising my dignity. And within 1 month, I generated $10,000. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through a shift in thinking, a change in strategy, and a willingness to act differently from most people. In this video, I am going to walk you through exactly how that happened, and more importantly, how you can apply the same principles in your own life, wherever you are in the world. The first thing I had to confront was uncomfortable. The problem was not that I lacked effort. Like many people, I was working hard. I was busy. I was doing what I believed was expected of me. But I was thinking too small. Most of us are conditioned to believe that income comes from a single source, our job. We are taught to trade our time for money and to accept that progress will be slow and steady. There is nothing inherently wrong with honest work, but when you need immediate results, that model becomes limiting. Time is fixed. There are only so many hours in a day. So I asked myself a different question. If I cannot create more time, how can I create more value within the time I already have? That question changed everything. Instead of focusing on how many hours I could work, I began to focus on problems I could solve. Because income, at its core, is a reflection of value. The more urgent and meaningful the problem, the more people are willing to pay for a solution. I stopped asking, what can I do to earn money? And started asking, what do people need right now that I can provide? That shift led me to opportunities I had previously overlooked. Not because they were hidden, but because I had not been looking in the right way. The first practical step was to identify skills that were in immediate demand. I did not try to reinvent myself overnight. I simply looked at what I already knew and asked how it could be useful to others. Writing, communication, organization, basic digital skills. These may seem ordinary, but in the right context, they become valuable. Businesses, individuals, and creators constantly need assistance with tasks they do not have the time or expertise to handle themselves. Content writing, video editing, social media management, research, administrative support. The demand is there, and it is growing. What matters is not perfection, but usefulness. One of the greatest obstacles to immediate income is hesitation. Many people spend weeks preparing, learning, and waiting for the right moment. But when urgency is real, action must come first. I began offering my services quickly, even while I was still improving them. I reached out to people directly. I introduced myself clearly. I explained how I could help, and I kept my message simple and honest. Not every response was positive. In fact, many were ignored. But a few were not. And those few became the foundation of everything that followed. The first payments were modest. A small project here, a short task there. But each one mattered. Because income is not only about money, it is about proof. Proof that someone is willing to pay you. Proof that your effort has value. That confidence builds quickly. With each completed task, I improved. I became faster. I became clearer. And most importantly, I began to understand what clients truly needed. Within a short period, small jobs turned into larger ones. And one client often led to another. Once the foundation was in place, the focus shifted from finding work to increasing value. Instead of simply completing tasks, I began to think about outcomes. How could I help someone grow their business? How could I save them time or increase their results? When you move from providing a service to delivering a result, your value increases significantly. And when your value increases, so does your income. Clients are not paying for your time alone. They are paying for the benefit they receive. Understanding this is essential. Another important element was diversification. Relying on a single source of income, especially in urgent situations, can be risky. So I created multiple streams. Freelance work, small digital products, short-term projects. Each stream may not have been large on its own, but together they created momentum. This is how the $10,000 accumulated, not from one single breakthrough, but from several consistent efforts working together. It is important to be honest about this. It was not effortless. There were long days, there was uncertainty, there were moments of doubt. But there was also clarity. Because for the first time, I was not waiting for an opportunity. I was creating one. And that difference is powerful. Looking back, a few lessons stand out clearly. First, urgency can be a powerful motivator when used correctly. Second, you do not need to know everything to begin. You simply need to know enough to be useful. Third, income grows where value is created. And finally, consistency matters more than perfection. Wherever you are in the world, your circumstances may differ. But the principle remains the same. There are people who need help, there are problems that require solutions, and there is value you can provide. So let me give you clear, realistic examples. Things ordinary people are doing right now to generate income quickly. One of the simplest ways is through service-based work. If you can write clearly, you can offer content writing. Businesses are constantly in need of articles, product descriptions, and social media posts. If you can organize information, you can assist as a virtual assistant, managing emails, scheduling, or handling simple administrative tasks. If you are comfortable with technology, even at a basic level, you can help small businesses manage their online presence. Many business owners simply do not have the time to post regularly or respond to messages. Another option is local, in-person services. There are always people who need help with cleaning, moving, deliveries, or simple repairs. These may not sound glamorous, but they provide immediate cash flow. And when urgency is your priority, practicality matters more than appearance. The question is whether you are willing to step forward and offer it. Opportunities are not always obvious. Sometimes they appear only when you begin to move. If you are in a position where you need income quickly, understand this. You are not without options. You may need to think differently. You may need to act sooner than feels comfortable, but progress is possible. If this message has been helpful, share it with someone who may be facing the same challenge. And if you would like to learn more about building income, managing money, and creating long-term financial freedom, consider subscribing, like, and share.